All right, so
I have to give you a little bit of credit for this.
Yeah, we can overdub it later. Just
I haven't had any crazy stories about. Oh wait, no, I do. I got robbed at gunpoint, mugged.
Checking for me, but I ain't checking for them. No.
sleazy real estate guys. But all right, so another episode of the EP podcast going beyond the headlines once again with the one and only Arthur Hannick. Arthur, what's going on, man?
Not much. How are you this evening?
You gotta ask me something different, man. Every single time you ask me the same thing. I'm good though, man. It's been a while. It's been a while since we did one of these episodes. I think the last one that we did was back in July, maybe first couple weeks of July. We've been backed up a lot with the summit. The summit happened. It was a good time. It's always a pain in the butt putting it together, but a good time nevertheless. You killed it with your presentation. You were talking about from what was the headline to your presentation again? From part-time entrepreneur to full-time entrepreneur? Is that what it was?
I thought it was more about the tools to success that you didn't know that you needed.
What was you had a title to your presentation. What was it? Oh, all right. All right. Well, if you don't remember the title to your own presentation, don't expect me to. All right. Well,
it was your title. I just took what you said.
okay. Anyways, summit was great. Come out to the one next year. Officialepex.com. We have a lot of topics to cover today, but if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on the notification bell for many more episodes to come. Man, the mic feels like it's loud right now. Can you just lower that a little bit? Mine. And yeah, turn on the notification bell. Go to eppodcast.store. Pick yourself up some merchandise. And thank you for one, over 1 million views on YouTube, and two, 1,500 subscribers. We appreciate all the feedback that we get. We take it very, very seriously because without you guys viewing, we have no point to record. So thank you for that. So given that, Arthur, we have a few topics. We have the Trump dinner that recently took place in the White House. Zuckerberg is suing Zuckerberg, if that makes any sense to you. $1 trillion payday for Elon. I know you're going to go into the housing market. You're going to go into unemployment, the American dream, and then maybe some lingering topics. So you ready to go at it?
Absolutely.
You lowered my mic? I'm just loud, I guess. All right. So let's start with the first one, right? So Trump hosted this dinner recently, this past Thursday, at the White House dining room, right? So it's called the House of State Dining Room, right? Yeah, and it was with all the top tech people, the usual, like Zuckerberg, Tim Cook, anyway, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, or Meta, sorry, OpenAI, and Bill Gates was there as well, right? But he's not the CEO anymore, but the CEO of Microsoft was there. So they all got together essentially to talk about all the funding that they're doing, investing that they're doing in the US in the next X amount of years, which reminded me a lot of, remember how recently he had all these nations he was trying to get to fund into the US in terms of production or like infrastructure and stuff like that, like Saudi Arabia, like all these other countries that he would have, and that he would do like the side by side on the chair, where they had the infamous Zelensky screaming match. But essentially that when he had them come in and talk about how much funding they were going to bring in the next few years, it seemed very similar to that, except in the dining room, right? So notably, though, there was one person not in the picture, Elon Musk, which some people are a little skeptical about. Like, oh, is this you saying essentially that you guys aren't boys anymore? Or like, what exactly is going on? And obviously, to not leave her out, this was something that not only Trump hosted, but also that Melania hosted as well. So, what were your thoughts on this?
Well, 33 tech CEOs were invited, and it sounds like quite a few of them weren't in attendance. Everyone's just focusing on Musk. But Musk, as well as the others, sent somebody to represent them.
So okay, so somebody was in attendance for Musk on
Yes.
behalf of Musk.
Yep. Musk sent somebody to represent his in Tesla's interests in this meeting.
Interesting, but why was that not mentioned anywhere?
Depends upon how the media wanted to skew this. But they focused on Musk not being there and not a list of other invited CEOs. The CEO of NVIDIA
Mhm.
wasn't in attendance either, but they sent somebody.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That would have been one of the CEOs I would have expected to be there. Let's see here. Formal dinner. I'm interested now who this person
But you
might
also
been.
don't know things like how much notice was given. When did, I mean, these are CEOs. They book up months in advance. So they may not have been able to rearrange their schedules.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, so apparently Elon said, I was invited, but unfortunately could not attend. A representative of mine will be there. Okay. Now, how genuine do you think that is,
Don't know.
given their relationship?
We'll have to see what happens. I mean, if he gets invited to 3, 4, 5, 6 things and keeps sending a representative, then that's a telling sign. But you can't make an assumption for not attending one event.
Well, he did say a representative will be there on his behalf, but I see no mention of a representative on his behalf. So I wonder if he actually did send somebody, because I feel like that's something that would be noted somewhere in it. And I'm seeing all the different headline articles, and there's nothing about that.
But there were
So
33 invited
Mhm.
CEOs. Do you have a list of that? When you look at the photos, the dining room had quite a few people in there.
yeah, I mean, it's always the headlining ones, right? Like Tim Cook. Some of them I just simply can't pronounce. Like the Google one is Sundar. Mark Zuckerberg, Satya. Like, it's just names that are kind of tough to pronounce, to be honest. Sam Altman from OpenAI, Bill Gates, and others. So there's definitely others.
Was Bezos invited?
I actually don't know. Was Bezos invited?
Or did he send a representative? He's not exactly tech, but I mean, in a way, he is tech. I mean, Amazon's completely designed on how to use the computer, how to trick people into buying more, how to make it easy for one-click purchase, which he copyrighted that phrase.
Yeah, I don't see any mention about Bezos on the fourth, but that's also a a tech company, so I guess it would make sense for them to be there. Let's see here. Uh, he was actually not invited.
Hmm.
Huh. Look this up. Was Bezos invited to tech dinner Trump 9/4/25? That's interesting. That one didn't get any highlight. Huh. So pull that up for me, please. You could pull it up and just have it on there. You don't have to have it just when it's
I
already
mean,
pulled up.
Trump could be jealous because he just had a bigger wedding than Trump did. And Trump built a ballroom
I wouldn't put it past
specifically
them.
for his last wedding.
I wouldn't put it past them. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them to be a little petty like that. Okay, so look, while large tech did not occur, okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. It was mentioned. Okay, my search specifically says no. Well, show more. First one, 9/20. No, I'm sorry.
Because
Well,
the date's wrong.
It's 9/4.
Sorry.
He was.
This is telling me he wasn't.
Well, you can't always go with AI.
That's very true. That's very true. Okay, so well, if you happen to know whether or not he was invited, let us know in the comments.
Was the meet all 33 Silicon Valley panel?
Yeah, let's look at that list. Okay. It's just gonna be one of those things.
There we go.
Okay, let's go through that really quick. All right. Okay. Obviously, Trump is gonna be the first one. Melania. Okay, who's Susie Willis Wiles?
Political strategist.
Okay. Google co-founder. Okay. GG health coach. OpenAI. Oracle. Okay, I haven't heard anything from Oracle in a minute. Let's see. What's this one here? Gal Tarash. Hold on. Tarash's Israel background has influence and support. Okay. Oosh. All right, Jason. Okay, we don't have to go through the whole list. So definitely a lot of people that weren't the top of mentions. Look, that guy on the top right even kind of looks like. No, I was gonna say Putin, but never mind now. Okay,
Just scroll
Don't
through the
be-
names quickly and see.
Tony Dylan Field. Go ahead, John Herring. Sure. Oh, look at that. That's a good picture. Huh. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm not seeing Bezos. There's got more to go through.
So definitely a big group essentially going on a round table saying how much they're going to be investing in the US in the next X amount of years. Now, what do you like thinking about the dynamics of this? This is not something I've ever seen before where you gather the industry's leader to sit down and let publicly be known that they're funding all this. I mean, what are your thoughts on like the optics of that?
I believe it's been done in the past
Has it?
that you make a focus on an industry and invite those leaders and talk about what you see as
The future and asking how their companies can fit into this vision.
Mm-hmm. Any idea who that was?
I mean, in recent memory, Biden did that with the electric car manufacturers.
Oh, right, which Musk also wasn't invited to. It seems like he just doesn't have a good relationship with the White House, no matter what the administration is. He seems like he's just that guy that the administration just loves to hate, or the people just love to hate. I mean, obviously, some it's for obvious reasons, but what are you gonna do? So yeah, Meta and Apple pledged 600 billion each over the years. Google 250 billion, and Microsoft 75 to 80 annually. Now, I know that there's been a lot of talk about a lot of the Apple manufacturing leaving China and then going to India. I think the new phone is being strictly manufactured in India with the next generation of the phone. But at the same time, Trump wants to bring back jobs to America. And I think one of the ways he's trying to, I guess, incentivize that is, which is not really much of an incentive in my opinion, is placing tariffs on India that will make it less likely for Apple to want to do that, because obviously it'll make the phone way more expensive if they move it back to America.
2 to 3 times the price.
Yeah, and like an iPhone right now is going for like $1,000 average price, right? Like if you get like the basic gigabyte, basic model, nothing like the Pro or X Pro, Ultra Pro, all these fancy names that they give it. So it would have cost like $3,000. So I'm curious to know, would you be open if it meant that the iPhone was purely American made? Would you be open to paying up to $3,000 for it? If not $3,000, at what point do you draw the line? Because I'd be curious to know what that is. You're not even an iPhone user.
Nope.
You're an Apple investor, though.
Well, yeah.
Make that make sense. Why? You would think that if you believe in the product so much to invest in it, you would at least have the product.
I wanted an iPhone way back when Verizon finally got the iPhone. I went to go purchase it, talked to the salesperson, and they showed me the Android and the iPhone side by side, and the Android worked better for business than the iPhone did.
Back then I would agree, but I think now iPhones are the more socially acceptable business phone. Right? That would make sense, right? Because like all these companies, they buy all these iPhones for the employees, and so they could go through that. Because I think look this up if you can, please. Is there any data backing that people are more likely to do business with people that get blue text over green, essentially iPhone over Android? Because I think there's statistics out there that prove that. I know we're going out on the tangent here. We'll bring it around in a second. Let's see here. You can pull it up live. You don't have the final product right there because that's just not how these things work. Because the thing is, I know I have trouble with you like sending you specific files over text message, either for storage reason or formatting issues. Look, research shows that people tend to associate blue with trust and security, which can influence their willingness to do business with a company. However, data does not show that blue text is universally better than green. Well, they're talking about technicality. I'm talking about perception. So go down. Okay, you're going into branding. I mean, get out of the smart AI stuff. Yeah, we're not a solely AI company. We're not just gonna go AI mode. So let's see here. See, the question is way too complicated on the search bar. We're gonna move on, but because just simply that more people in the U.S. have iPhones over Android, I believe. I think people are more associating business with the iPhone over that. It's just once you're in that ecosystem, just being able to, which obviously is something that they manufactured, to be like that. It's just so much easier to move stuff around. Like I know, like I could click here and then throw a file onto the laptop, like within like that, and that's something that it's just 0 to none.
Right. And I'm too far into it because I'm going to lose all that, my history, switching to an iPhone.
Assuming you're not in the cloud, in some form of cloud.
I am, but all that's going to transfer down. All my text messages that were formatted for an Android are going to come back on iPhone.
I believe so, because Android is Google, is it not? Yeah, because Android is the operating system and Google develops it and maintains it. So in theory, if you buy an iPhone and you use, what are the main things you use that are Android-esque? So like what? Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Photos. What else?
I mean, everything's backed up through the Verizon cloud.
Verizon Cloud?
Yeah.
What the hell's that? Is that like the same thing like iCloud? Verizon Cloud.
Verizon had the cloud
They
first.
do have a Verizon Cloud. See, that's very. See, I don't know. Does T-Mobile have a cloud? Yeah, I guess I'm so into the Apple world that I'm blind to any other world. Okay, yeah, all right. Well, I think it's a little ironic that you invest in the company but do not own any of the products of the company. But I guess that's how life works sometimes. There was this video recently that went around of Speed. Has that name come across in your radar at all? I Show Speed.
Nope.
So I Show Speed is a streamer that is like all over the place right now. Live streaming is a huge space that's blowing up. It's been growing over the years, but specifically now it's just where all the money's flowing and attention is flowing. Like people are recording themselves sleeping and getting a ton of money as they sleep through donations. It's weird. It's something that maybe people need to get like looked into from this because it's definitely odd. But I Show Speed was recently in New York. He's doing like a 30-day tour of the country, of the US. He just recently did one worldwide. And he was at the New York Wall Street. He was with the one guy, the Einstein of Wall Street. And the Einstein of Wall Street is apparently one of the longest standing traders in Wall Street itself. He literally looks like Einstein. Can you pull up a picture of him, please? And he was essentially telling Speed. Now, mind you, Speed is 20 years old. Dude is probably like worth tens of millions of dollars. Sorry. And he was essentially telling him that everything he was wearing is a publicly traded company, right? Which is a way of looking at things. And he was saying that
NASCAR driver, like NASCAR drivers.
Oh yeah, they're a walking
advertisement.
Yeah, they're a walking freaking trade fire. All right, so that's the ice on Wall Street. Click on one of the pictures, the second one. Oh, you could just open it. Yeah, so that's why they call him the Einstein of Wall Street, because he literally looks like Einstein. And he was telling him, you buy, what is it? You buy stocks, you don't buy stuff. Buy stocks, not stuff. Which, makes sense. It is funny because I remember a couple years back, my little cousin Jeremy, I heard he wanted an iPhone. I heard he wanted an iPhone. I'm like, yeah, no, like you don't need an iPhone at this time. And his parents were gonna buy him one to begin with because they don't want him with a phone that early. And instead I was like, I think it would be funny and kind of a good idea that instead I get him like an Apple stock. I get him an Apple stock, and then I'm gonna put it in a bag to make it look like it could be a new phone, but it's not. It's a certificate to owning an Apple stock. Now that was like what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Sorry.
Like 3 years ago. Now look up what the Apple stock. What is that at today? We're going completely sidelines here.
Over 200.
Just look up Apple stock chart. Why is that? Why is this doing that?
AAPL.
There you go. I guess you have to scroll down a little bit. So go max. Go to max.
You don't need to go to max. Just
What?
if you're going
Oh, I'm sorry. Go 5
years.
year. Go 5 year. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's say I got it on that dip of 2023. What was that at? 129. Now it's worth over $100 more. That's good. That's pretty good, especially for a kid. What about Disney? Because I remember the first stock I bought him was Disney, and then it
It's
freaking
tanked.
plummeted after that.
It's tanked.
Go 5 year on that one. Yeah, yeah. Well, give and takes. That's what it's time in the market, not time in the market, right? All right. So ironies. Anyways, speaking of ironies, Arthur, Zuckerberg is suing Zuckerberg. Actually, before we even go into that, closing thought on the Trump dinner. Do you think that this is something that should be publicized out there more? People knowing what companies are investing into their own country and how, to that extent of publicity? Or do you think this is more optics than anything else?
This is more optics than anything else.
Mhm.
But I'm curious, are you going to take part in this whole
Being watched while you're asleep thing so you can make money while you're sleeping? Because all I hear you talk about is
Streaming.
you've made it when you're making money while you sleep.
Well, that would be the literal meaning to it.
well, they
That's so true.
created it?
I would be lying to you if I told you that I have not been thinking about how I could implement streaming into my life, because we kind of have like boring lives. All we do is work, sleep, and it's not like he gets paid to go all around the world and explore the world. We're just on our computer the entire day, and we occasionally go to the beach, if maybe even that. Like I didn't go to the beach at all this year, so it just sucked. But yeah, I don't know. I guess our version of streaming would be doing this live stream, right? That would be our version of that. Without
So you are or aren't considering live streaming yourself sleeping for money while you make
I'm
money while
not-
you sleep?
I'm not
You're
that
not
deep
rolling it
into the
out?
waters. I'm not that deep into the streaming waters. But if you'd like us to start seeing us doing these streams lives, let us know. We'd love to do this in the future. We have the tools for it. We just got to pull it off. But if you're interested in that, let us know. So moving on to ironies. Zuckerberg is suing Zuckerberg, but it's not Mark Zuckerberg of Meta versus Mark Zuckerberg of Meta. It's Mark Zuckerberg, a lawyer, versus Mark Zuckerberg of Meta.
Oh, so this isn't like when McDonald's sued McDonald's.
What do you mean?
McDonald's Corporation sued McDonald's,
Mm-hmm.
Two people with the last name McDonald that created a charity called McDonald's because it was their last name.
Huh. So hold on. The McDonald's company sued a foundation
A charity, a little
charity.
tiny charity
that had the McDonald's name in it because
because their last names were McDonald.
written the same way.
Well, McDonald's spelled one way.
I don't know.
It was McDonald or MacDonald.
Yeah.
But McDonald's a very common Scottish name.
So that's very aligned. That's very aligned, right?
So they sued because it was infringing on their brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember how the court, I think it got settled. I don't think it ever finished going to court. I think McDonald's gave in and said,
We'll give you a large donation to walk away from this case and change the name. And ultimately, they're like, well, we're a charity, so will take a large donation
Well,
and change the name.
let's use that as a basis because that's how a lot of these court cases end up happening, right? They refer all cases that were settled way back when. So let's use that as a basis. So what's happening here is this how do you even say this? Indianapolis?
Indianapolis.
Okay. Indianapolis lawyer is also the mic. I don't know why it's throwing me off. So Mark S. Zuckerberg, he filed a lawsuit against Meta, citing repeated shutdowns of its Facebook accounts for alleged impersonation of the company's CEO, even though he's using his real name. Sounds very similar to the McDonald's situation you were telling about. So apparently he lost approximately $11,000 in ad spend after Meta deactivated his verified business page, which is very hard to manage, to be honest with you. And then Meta issued an apology, reinstated his account, and is now internally trying to figure out how to prevent this from happening.
Well, didn't they shut down his page repeatedly
Repeatedly,
over
yes.
the years? Like, it's not like it just happened once and, oh, we made a mistake, we'll correct it. They keep shutting him down.
Mm-hmm.
And this is becoming a problem with other things. He tried to open up a DoorDash account and got shut down for fraudulently using Mark's name.
Really? Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, so given what you know about the McDonald's situation, what do you think will happen in this case?
Well, I thought McDonald's took it too far to sue a charity. That doesn't look good. Big corporations
Right.
suing tiny charity.
For-profit,
That's just
yeah.
the headlines they want to have associated with them.
A for-profit suing a nonprofit is crazy.
So in this situation, I think it needs to come down to a little bit more of, since Mark is not using his middle initial and his name has gotten well known, and he's not the only Mark Zuckerberg in the world, and you can't trademark the name. It comes down to, I think the attorney has reason to ask for some sort of compensation for all of the excess work he has to put into everything. In fact, this happens so frequently, he created a website. If you want to pull that website up.
Oh, is this the website you said?
Yep.
Let's see this.
I am Mark Zuckerberg. And he lists things. Scroll down. There we go. Here are things that has happened to him as a result of being Mark S. Zuckerberg, not Mark E. Zuckerberg. So he was sued by the state of Washington. His personal Facebook account has been deactivated 5 times. He has to turn off his phone at night to avoid a flood of notifications. He's forced to provide multiple forms of identification. Received over 100 plus friend requests. Continually receives packages and letters, complaints, suggestions. I mean, all this. He's trying to run a business, and if he's getting inundated with all this extra mail, that means he has to hire somebody. He's probably putting out $60,000-$70,000 a year in a salary to an administrative assistant to try to deal with all of this nonsense.
The Nextdoor app, that's the one where people go in and talk about their neighborhoods.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. Okay, so interesting.
So essentially, I do feel that if Mark's going to get his name all over the place and not specify that he's Mark E, then unfortunately, this is a cost of doing business for Meta, is they need to compensate this attorney for all the problems they're causing.
Okay. But it's not the Mark Zuckerberg company, it's Meta. So whose expenses should this be?
That's going to get run through Meta.
Yeah. Because, okay, what if Meta is like, we'll offer you X amount of money to change your name legally?
How much money would you need to be offered to change your name from
that's a great
EMILIO
question.
Pastor?
I think given the little notoriety I have to my name, it would probably take
$5.
damn, I wasn't gonna go that low. I was gonna say $1 billion.
A billion.
I would say $1 billion. I would fully legally change my name, my entire identity for $1 billion. Easy. No hesitation.
$1 million.
Fuck. I'm sorry. No.
So
no.
you're not famous.
Well, you gotta realize this. It's your name. You're giving up.
He's
your
running a
family.
multi-million-dollar
That's true.
law firm.
That's true.
You're running.
So his might be 100 billion. I'm running a multi-episode podcast series here. It might be a few 100 billion. How much would you take to fully get your name replaced?
I mean, I would settle for $1 million because my name's
$1
not
million?
my name's not a brand like yours is.
Hell no. $1 million? $1 million is nothing.
Invested 10%, 100 grand a year in residuals.
Hell no, bro. No. I mean, no.
To be fair, a female's probably going to be more lenient because females also
She's-
change their last names.
Okay. That's a take right there. Because they're willing to change the last names at an additional checkout page of, hey, for $1 million, so you want to check out your first name too? We'll do it. That's it. Okay, I'm curious. Audience, viewers, how much money will it take for you to fully legally change your name and have an entirely new identity? What's that number? $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion, or priceless? What is it? Let us know in the comments. I'm interested to know. That's very interesting. Okay, so
You're going to be surprised. People will come in a hell of a lot less.
well, yeah, well, you know, I know. Okay, if you did it, see, you have a lot more like historical value to your name because you are very well connected with your history. So, is there even a price for you?
I mean, I'm sure I could come up with a number if I can just switch from using my father's family name to my mother's family name because there's actually more history on her side than there is on my dad's side.
That's kind of that's kind of like a dang answer.
Well, it's a 50-50 shoot on which name you would get.
Okay, but if they said, Arthur, we'll give you X amount of money to fully replace your name, was that be an offer you considered if it meets the number you would ask?
Yeah, I'm not stupid. I'll take several million.
Damn, bro, you'll cash out on the family name like that?
I'm just taking a different name in a family.
Oh man, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, so that's okay. So that could be one. That could be one direction. The other one is
Well, hold on. You also have 2 last names. So what if you were told to drop the first
that's
one?
with in consideration of my entire 4 names. Like for $1 billion, I'll drop everything. I'll never wear anything that says EP or E or P in the same word or sentence again if it means I get $1 billion to my whatever my new name is. So I might just switch my names to just podcast, drop the EP altogether. All right.
And somebody changed their names. It was a publicity stunt.
Kieran Culkin,
Oh, isn't that the
The guy from Succession.
I think he legally changed his name.
Didn't he change it? Like he's now Kieran.
It was a
Culkin,
public
Culkin?
stunt by his brother. Go up.
Was it
See,
not
you-
Kieran? Was it one of his brothers?
See, this is a test of search speed. The name was changed. Okay, so Kieran Culkin has not changed his name.
Okay.
The name change was a public stunt conducted by his brother. How do you say that name? Macaulay Culkin, which is Richie Rich, right?
Yes.
Home Alone. Which we're
Oh,
watching the
yes.
show Succession, and we saw Kieran Culkin on it. I immediately thought it was Richie Rich. Which
they look alike.
huh?
They look alike.
They look alike. Yeah.
And
So I was like,
in the
holy
movies
crap.
together. And a
Yeah.
lot of times Kieran is used for when they do reminiscence of when Macaulay's character would be younger because they
Yeah.
look alike.
Kieran was in Home Alone. He was a brother.
I don't remember watching Home Alone. I know I saw all of them. I just don't remember. Of
There's
course,
only
how,
really two.
how can you forget the Trump feature in the one? All right.
Back when Trump, he still is,
There we
but
go.
he was essentially poor. He would do anything for money. That was not a secret. He was also
Bro, you just said you would sell out your name. Apparently, we're all whore for some money at the right price.
Yeah, but he took every advertising, public stunt, TV, movie appearance there was because essentially that was how he was surviving.
Okay, so that'll be an option. The right price to get the name fully changed. The next one would be is now Meta has somehow an ongoing expense to maintain because there's going to be people out there with a similar name as their founder and CEO. Now, what stops me from having my first child's name being Mark Zuckerberg? Or so, of course that's not my last name, obviously. But I'm saying, what stops the next family to now almost be incentivized to have that name on their kid in the future?
Can you name your kid a different last name than one of the parents at the time of birth?
I don't know. Can you? Let's look that up. I know we're doing
I
a lot of.
I think you'd have to name him and then legally change his name after the fact.
Yeah, no, right. But I'm saying, okay, let's say there is another Zuckerberg out there, right? And completely unrelated as this scenario, another family, but they know now that there's like maybe an incentive back in to having Mark Zuckerberg.
In this situation, the Mark S has been an attorney for 28 years, longer than Mark E has been in the picture. So I would say it's a matter of, his practice was thriving with none of these issues when he started and probably for the first decade, and then Mark's name blows up and now it's making it a little more complicated. At the beginning, it may not have been much, a few random pieces of mail, but I'm getting the impression he's probably getting mail tubs every day that they have to sift through because of mistaken identity.
Now, would be funny if at the dinner, instead of Mark Zuckerberg of Meta, the other Mark Zuckerberg showed up. That would have been a spectacle. I think this is movie with is it John Krasinski? John Krasinski, is that the actor's name? The guy from The Office? John Krasinski and I think Ryan Reynolds, where Krasinski got an Asian guy to show up for him instead of Krasinski himself, and then Reynolds play. It's a whole inside joke thing, but anyways, let's move on from that.
Really quick, there is no law that requires your last name to match your parents.
Oh.
Yeah, but now you just publicly announced that you're going to do this specifically to get a payout.
Look,
it's been recorded. We have it on tape.
Look,
Want to rewind a little bit?
All I'm saying is you're kind of it's a crappy situation because that's going to be an overhead they keep getting then if people start doing that. But
no, it would be based on it being established that
he started his practice with his name before Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook.
So it should be anything. So it should be like a date. Like, how would they handle that?
I mean, there's other factors.
Right.
How much longer does he plan on practicing?
Right.
How much money is it costing him annually to have the same name? Like, this may not be a huge expense at the end of the day. I think he said he was practicing for 28 years. So that puts him within 10 years of retiring.
Mhm.
So if he's paying, if it's costing 50,000 a year, it's a $500,000 payout, which is probably going to be cheaper than what it's going to cost Mark E. Zuckerberg
Yeah.
in attorney fees,
It's
because Mark S. is an
Right.
attorney,
right.
so it's just filing costs and his
What if he
time.
hires Mark? What if Mark Zuckerberg hires Mark Zuckerberg?
Well, that's a conflict of
Yeah,
interest.
clearly. But more than anything, it sounds like a pain in the ass. It doesn't sound like the juice is worth the squeeze.
And I think that's where this is. It's like he's frustrated after all these years. He's just frustrated of all the extra hoops he has to jump through and how it's getting harder and harder.
Mhm.
And now you have AI that's just taking it at face value that the names are the same and not digging in deeper and going, oh, the birthdays are drastically different.
Yeah. Well, this may not be as much of a pain in the butt, and it might be worth the squeeze for the Jews, is Elon's potential $1 trillion payday. So Tesla's board has proposed a performance-based compensation package for Elon Musk that could total $1 trillion in stock over the next decades if ambitious milestones are met. Very similar to the one where there was a whole legal situation here in Delaware about it was like 50 something billion or something like that ultimately ended up getting shut down. And ultimately the reason
Wasn't
Go
it
ahead.
like for 500 billion?
Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Big difference, yeah.
And ultimately got shut down.
Yeah.
You know why, right?
Why is that?
Technicality.
Technicality being
They filed the paperwork wrong.
incorrectly?
Yes.
Okay, but that should there's no way that was the reason why they said screw Delaware. We're
that's what-
incorporated into Texas.
That's why, like, it makes no sense. He got called out for not filing the paperwork correctly, and instead of refiling it correctly, he blew up and then went on a rampage about how horrible Delaware is and how he was going to move the incorporation of all of his companies out of Delaware and everyone else should do the same. And it all came down to his high-priced attorneys did not file the paperwork correctly.
A Delaware court avoided Elon Musk's 2018 Tesla compensation package. We had a potential value of $56 billion, not because of incorrect paperwork, but due to a deeply flawed approval process. Tesla failed to prove the compensation was fair to shareholders, leading the court to conclude that Musk, as a superstar CEO with undue influence, had improperly controlled the negotiation.
That was the first round. That's not the one that he blew up and left the state.
This is the final verdict on here.
No,
But that's what
no,
this is the
first
case
from
and then there's
2018.
the reason why he left the state.
No, there was another one. This happened twice. There was another one around 2021, 2022. That one was 2018.
Let's see here. The core reason in 2024, Delaware court invalidated a massive pay package for Elon Musk, which had been approved by the Tesla shareholders, but was later deemed excessive by the court due to a shareholder lawsuit. The decision led Musk to post his own X account.
In the final appeal, it came down to paperwork. Statements were made that were not correct. The judge started reading the document and asked Elon, does your company do this? And he said no. And they read another line and he said no. And they added a third line and he said no. And after that, they stopped saying there's no point in continuing. What you stated and asked the shareholders to vote for is incorrect. You are admitting that you're doing the opposite of what you asked them to vote that you would do.
Based on everything I'm finding, it does not have to do with a misfiling of paperwork. It ultimately comes down to shareholders saying that it was not fair.
That's where it started.
But I'm saying
Like-
that's what the final appeal here is saying.
I'll have to dig
Yeah, I
into
mean,
it further, but
Either or.
When I
Yeah.
when I dug into this because I was curious about this
Mhm.
mass exodus of corporations leaving Delaware, and when you really get down to it, and nobody wants to talk about this because that's not selling papers, because if it comes out that it's Zuckerberg, I'm sorry, Musk leaves because his attorneys didn't do the paperwork correctly, that's not a sexy story.
that's a you idiot.
Well, this is coming from McCarter and English LLP and Harvard Law School about it being over the shareholders. But
It started over the shareholders.
it's saying final. It's saying final, Arthur. It doesn't say beginning. Let the audience let us know. Let the audience let us know. Let the verdict be held by
It
by the
came down
viewers.
to there were material misstatements in the 500 page appeal filing.
Okay, I'm listening to you, but
And
research.
it got tossed out on a technicality.
That's fine. You want to go with that? You go with that. I'll listen to you, but that's not what I'm saying.
And I'm pretty sure he was invited to correct it and refile, and instead he just blew up.
Now, are these McCormick's the same ones that we know or in relation to? Because it was a McCormick here.
I would doubt it.
Okay. Well, not, for obvious reasons, but I don't know if there's any family relations there. You know, Delaware's super small, so
There's also
especially
the Spice Company that's been around for hundreds
not
of years.
that one. Obviously, now yeah, a freaking Spice Company is also a freaking law office. Okay, so 56 billion, right? That's what it was. This one is 1 trillion, a little bit higher, right? A little bit higher. Because Trump, Elon doesn't get any like salary or anything like that. It's purely stock, which obviously is the better option in his case. But essentially is 1 trillion, and it includes up to 12% of Tesla shares payable in 12 tranches tied to achievements such as a growing market cap from 1.1 trillion to 8.6 trillion, delivering 20 million vehicles, reaching 10 million full self-driving subscriptions, deploying 1 million humanoid robots and 1 million robo-taxis, which literally just launched, achieving 400 billion in adjusted EBITDA, and, which I thought this one was interesting, last but not least, implementing a succession plan, which essentially is saying, like, we have to know your exit by the time this realizes.
Correct. But this sounds like it's going to be impossible.
Why is that?
So for him to go from 1.1
to 8.6 means he has to grow the company at 23% a year for the next 10 years.
So I'd be curious to see then what was the initial market cap of Tesla when that $56 billion offer packet that package offer was made. Tesla evaluation when $56 billion compact was made. Let's see here. Okay, the only thing that comes up about it is Delaware. Oh god. But it has to be like there has to be some.
But the last time it was also those metrics that he had to do were so low to the point that he almost had them accomplished before they set them. So
He
it
had
wasn't
to accomplish
like
before they set them.
it was almost guaranteed that he was going to meet those metrics. This
So-
round isn't that easy. He's really going to have to grow the company.
So
And right now, aren't his car sales declining? Like for a while, they couldn't even give the Cybertruck away. They slashed the price by 20 something percent and they still weren't selling. And then they decided to raise the price back up and they're still not selling.
pull up ChatGPT and I'll write down what was the breakdown of this $56 billion pay package. mean, this is what you're supposed to do. Deal package, what? Okay, for who?
Right.
Yeah, but ask for a detailed thing. Otherwise, it's going to give us a surface level. You use AI almost like every day now. You should know to ask it complex questions. Okay, so it was 303 million stock options represent. Okay, so 12%. So let's see here. Mixing up my notes with yours. 12%. So 12%, which is the same as this time around, but obviously this 12% is a lot bigger. That was split in 12 separate tranches, each worth about 1% of Tesla's equity. 12 milestones tied to market cap in roughly 50 billion increments up to 650 billion. So
there we go. It was targets. So yeah, it was a 56 billion, but it had up to that. It was over $500 million in compensation.
Compensation, where are you reading that?
Right there.
There's 12 milestones tied to market capitalization in roughly 50 billion increments up to 650 billion. So this 56 billion package is actually potentially 650 billion.
Right. So they said if he reaches 650 billion at that time, it realizes that's part of the. That's one of the metrics.
Is that saying capitalization or he's entitled to 50?
Tesla, okay. By late 2020, okay, so right there, performance milestone. To earn each tranche needs to be, 12 milestones tied to market cap in roughly 50 billion increments up to 650 billion. Up to 650 billion.
Is that talking 650 billion capitalization?
Market cap.
Okay. So
yep, market cap. And right now they're asking for 1.1 trillion to so here's what I'm curious. Ask ChatGPT at that time
there you go, right there.
Where?
So in 2018, and then down here it says by late 2020, Tesla had reached the 60 billion market cap. So he was able to do this in under 2 years.
Yeah, but I think we need to look at our basis here before we even. So say at that time, what was?
But this new one says 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. Okay.
This one happened within 2.
But
that's
2 years wasn't the
is that it was too easy.
One thing at a time. One thing at a time. At that time, what was Tesla's market cap at the offering? At the time of the offering,
just put 2018.
No, because that's. Hold on, 2018. Was around 100 billion or less. So he had to 6.5x the company essentially in market cap.
But the other part of it was he was on track.
Like it wasn't just a surprise.
Tesla
in 2 years.
has never been consistent, Arthur. We know this. Tesla is always up and down.
That is what the argument was that the metrics were too easy to obtain.
But that's because he's in a space of innovation. Like no matter what the metrics, you can't really put much of a.
Okay, I don't have all the detail to be able point by point, but that's the crux of the suit. Too easy to obtain.
I'm comparing ratios here. They're saying you need to, or multiples here. They were saying that he needed to essentially 6.5x the market cap in order to that be realized. That was one of the tranches.
One of the 12, yes.
One of the tranches, yeah. So in comparison to the new one, right? What's Tesla's market cap now?
So it's 1.1 right now, and they're saying 8.6.
Go now. So right now it's 1.1. Okay, so essentially 1.13. So he needs to 6x it, essentially. No, I'm sorry, 8x it. A little over 8x.
Yep.
Which is obviously harder, especially at that scale. But I think what's even more concerning are things like the full self-driving has always been an issue. Because we always know that he sets very ambitious goals that most times don't come into fruition in the time that he's trying to do them. The other one is the humanoid robots. Those things aren't even out there yet. The robo-taxis just started. And then the EBITDA stuff, I'm not too familiar with their financials, so I don't know. But you're saying that this was more the first one was more feasible than the one now, and this one is seeming more like they're kind of setting it up to not meet it.
This one's more of what the purpose is. If you're able to achieve this, then yes, you can get this compensation. But before, it was too easy to be achieved, which is where the whole thing started. This was handing him $56 billion.
Easy on what basis? Because none of this is easy to do.
If
To the average Joe.
again, I'd have to go through the entire 12 tranches, see where Tesla was and what they had to do. And he was able to do it in under 2 years. And this new one talks about
10 years.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so it's a big difference in terms of offering from 56 billion to 1 trillion. And there's a succession aspect to it. So, and they're in Texas now, which is more conservative. And I think there was a difference between the Texas and the Delaware laws in terms of corporations. I think one of them was that shareholders need to have at least a 3% stake of the company, which wasn't a thing then. I think that's something I read in comparison to Delaware and Texas. But I'm curious to know, what are your thoughts? I mean, one, do you think that there's something Elon can achieve? And two, what do you think is the concerns here in terms of CEO pay versus, because this is a conversation you and I have often about the gap in pay.
My first issue with CEO pay is that no CEO should be making more than 100 times multiple of the lowest paid person in the company. So if the CEO can make an obscene amount of money, then the janitors shouldn't be scraping by on minimum wage, because you weren't able to be that successful without everybody in the company.
I mean, 100x?
100x.
So this is here saying that the lowest pay at Tesla is $22, depending on the role. $22.
Okay.
So you're saying then the CEO shouldn't make more than 220. Now am I doing my math wrong here? Okay, add a few more zeros to that. 220 million. 22 million. 22 million, right?
It's saying $22 an hour, correct?
If you know the answer, you can say it
Then
rather
it'd
than
be $2,200 an hour.
Okay, all right, cool. What does that come out to?
440,000 a year-ish.
So the CEO should be capped at that point.
If you want to make more, raise the salaries of the people that work for you.
Okay, that's fair. NVIDIA, every single person in NVIDIA is a millionaire. Every single employee at NVIDIA is a millionaire. I think that's one of the facts I read about them at one point. NVIDIA millionaire employee. Okay, so it's saying, I'm sorry, not everyone. Approximately 76 to 80% of NVIDIA employees have a net worth of exceeding 1 million, with a substantial portion of these employees having more than 25 million. Okay, I like that argument. Because then you're just moving the whole bar up, not just like a skewed part of it. Okay, I never heard that asterisk to your argument with that. I'm in agreement of that. But what do you say to the fact that he's not getting salary pay? I know he has stock option, but he's taking on the risk and all the time commitment, all that stuff leading up to it.
That's why I think 100 times more is reasonable.
So I guess I wonder how we would tie this back.
I'm not stopping him from taking his salary and reinvesting it into shares in the company.
His compensation package just can't be more than 100 times the lowest compensation package in the company.
Yeah, but he doesn't have salary, so we really don't have like a hourly or anything like that.
Okay, but we're back to compensation package.
Right, right.
So he can choose not to take salary, and his pay is based on performance. And
this excessive compensation package, but it still needs to be limited to 100 times the lowest compensation package in the
I
company.
agree. Okay, no, I agree with that. But realistically, do you think that's something that's gonna happen long term?
it really needs to, because these ratios have gotten obscene. Historically, CEOs used to make 30 times more than the lowest. And then it ballooned up to 100. And now I don't know where it is with everybody, but when the Disney heiress was going on her rampage tangent about how horrible it was that the CEO of Disney was making 352 times more than the lowest paid person in the company, she said that wasn't fair at all. You have people making minimum wage, and you have the CEO making an obscene amount of money, and the wealth needs to be shared with everybody who's part of the organization.
Yeah, no, I think the only thing combating it really, because I think it's more realistic that something else is going to happen rather than every company's going to decide that none of our CEOs are going to make more than 100x and the lowest paid one. But that's why things like the is it Warren Buffett? No, is it the what's the commitment? Who controls that commitment where you give up all of your wealth?
The Gates
Is it the Gates and
Foundation
Melinda
pledge.
Foundation?
Yeah.
Where is it like 90 or 90 or something like that?
That you pledge to give away 90% of your wealth during your life or at the time of your death.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that helps out a lot to that, but it's just a matter of getting the people
But
to
that's
say yes to
just recycling an old philosophy from Andrew Carnegie back in the late 1800s, early 1900s,
it.
when he realized that there was this massive wealth disparity, and there was just a few of them that held all of the money. So that's why you have Carnegie Hall and Carnegie Libraries. There's so much with the Carnegie name on it because he donated to help the public. And the best way at the time was to build libraries so you could educate people for free.
See, do you think when they approach these billionaires or these extremely wealthy people, do you think they tell them like, hey, this is how we plan to allocate your money? I would imagine so. No.
They get to choose how they. The pledge is just you have to give 90%
I mean,
of
yeah,
your wealth
I guess
away.
that's all it is.
You can choose what it goes to,
right.
but it needs to go back into the public's hands and circulate again.
The plays that let you to get it to begin with.
But also back then, the way Carnegie and John J.D. Rockefeller made their money was via monopolies, which has been banned.
Right. But we have new ones arising at the same time. So, all right. Well, we'll see what the next 10 years hold. I think that if history is to say anything about Elon, he's not the guy that we want to underestimate. Because one, he'll probably go on a rant about it on X. Or two, he might just actually do it. You just got to be careful with those kind of people. But I'm curious to see if it comes into fruition, what that succession plan looks like.
Well, that has to come into fruition. I mean, that's you. If he doesn't do that, he'll end up being ousted on a different plan. So companies need to have the succession plan. Warren Buffett has had one for decades. All the companies have this in place.
He's young. How old is he?
Warren Buffett? He's
no. Obviously not Warren Buffett. How old is Elon?
54.
Okay. Warren Buffett is borderline 90, right? How old is Buffett? Buffett
90 something, early 90s.
95. Holy crap. So he's not, but he already announced that he's retiring next year, right? Is that what it was? Yeah, he announced he
end
was
of the
retiring next year. So like 95, but like
But
succession
Buffett has
planning.
had a plan for decades.
That's what I'm saying. Succession planning isn't all right. This is my retirement exit plan here. This is okay. Succession plan is essentially like saying that this is what's going to happen at the time that I'm done with this company.
Right. What the future of the company holds.
without you in the picture.
Okay. So it's not like this is going to come into fruition. All right. Bye-bye, Tesla.
Right. It's just
Right.
what is the plan? You drop dead. Does the company go with you?
Right. So we'll see. I mean, 10 years is just right around the corner. Be surprised how much time flies. Anyways, we'll see what the next 10 years hold for Elon, whether or not he's going to make it to the $1 trillion package, or he's just going to fall through this time. He's positioning himself to not have any of the problems that he had in Delaware, but we'll see where it goes. So, Arthur, thank you again for taking the time to unpack all of these headlines with me. Let's do it again next week. September 8th, this episode will come out. The next one, the 15th. Thank you again for over 1 million views and 1,500 subscribers. EP Podcast Store. Until next time.